Welcome back to Everything But the Lesson Plan, the podcast where we talk about the parts of life and education that don't come with instructions. I am your host, Franchesca Thompson, and today we're talking about something we don't always have the language for: pain. Not the kind you can fix overnight, not the kind you plan for, but the kind that shows up uninvited and changes everything. Because here's the truth. At some point in life, we all face a storm. And the real question becomes, who do you become on the other side of it? Today's guest didn't just face that storm, she found purpose in it. I am honored to be joined by author Dr. Johnecia Mason, who shares her journey in Rodney's gift, transforming pain into purpose. Dr. Mason, thank you for being here today. And
Hello, how are you?
yes, I am
So excited to be
excited.
here.
Yes. And I'm so glad that you're willing to tell your story. That's going to be very important for this conversation today.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm excited to share.
Give me a little bit about your background.
So, a little bit about me. I am an Atlanta native, born and raised here, went to school here. Absolutely love the state, love my city. It's a whole forever I love Atlanta situation over here. Um, like I said, I grew up here. I'm married. I have three boys. Of course, one of them is in heaven. I got involved with March of Dimes and Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, and the whole maternal health and infant mortality world because I lost my son and everything. I love arts and crafts. I love to travel. I'm a Disney junkie. My family, we love to go to Disney World and Disneyland.
Oh,
So, um, I'm a DIY girl, but most importantly, I love my family and I love the Lord because without Him, I could not literally be sitting here with you, Francesca, to tell my story. So that's
yeah.
that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I want us to go back to that moment. Take us back to the moment where your life shifted. What happened and what did that moment feel like for you?
Mhm. So life shifted. When I was growing up, I was raised to have your life set out. Like this is what you're gonna do from age 5. I said I was going to be an attorney. Um, all of that. Went to school, all of that stuff, and then got to law school. And was like, nope, this is not for me. So I
Mm,
said I was gonna go to business school and all of that. So I'm thinking the whole time I'm gonna be in business and everything. And that's what my purpose was. My purpose is to be out there helping people start businesses and just make money that way. However, once I met my husband and we started trying to conceive, my life just really took a different turn and a different journey.
mhm,
We found out that I had fibroids, and that was keeping me from conceiving a child.
mhm,
So had to go through the myomectomy, all of that, heal up from that, and then approximately 1 year from that surgery, we got pregnant with our first son. And the pregnancy started off rough because even in the beginning, even though the pregnancy test said that I was pregnant, when they went to do the sonogram of the vaginal ultrasound, they did not see a baby. They didn't see a sac. They didn't see anything. And so my doctor, my OB, she thought it was an ectopic pregnancy. And so she said, hey, let's just wait a moment. Let's just, go home, wait a week. Francesca, that was like the longest week at
yeah,
birth, waiting to go back to see if anything had changed.
yeah.
Go back. There's my little peanut. He's just sitting there. And my nickname for him is Jelly Bean because he literally was like a little jelly bean sitting there.
Mm,
He finally popped up. At the time we did not know it was a boy, but now he's a boy. Popped up and the pregnancy was going pretty good until around like the fourth or fifth month. My blood pressure started spiking. They could not get control of it. And then also the baby was not growing. He was just too small for what doctors say he should have been around like the fourth or fifth month or whatever. And so I literally could feel him just moving around in my stomach, like because he had so much space because he was so little.
yeah.
And then he was due in October. It was due in October. And then he actually came in July. He came July 9th. best day of my life. And he was breathing fine on his own and everything. At this point, I still had not seen him because it was an emergency C-section. And so I was still in recovery and everything. But my husband was able to, go and be with him and all of that. But even before all of that, when his heart rate kept dropping while he was still in the womb, my husband was asked, "Do you want us to save her or do you want us to save him?"
Wow.
And so my whole thing now is like no husband, no significant other, whatever should ever have to be asked that question.
Yeah.
And so once he was delivered, like I said, he was breathing on his own, he was fine. That's the only picture I have of him where he ever opened his eyes was when he first was born. And then that night he took a turn for the worse. Um,
Mm,
all of his tests came back negative, well, positive that he wasn't doing well. He had different gases and things, and he was put on a ventilator, all of that. And so that's when my whole world just shifted. And then 12 days later, he passed away due to his unfortunate prematurity, and his lungs were just severely underdeveloped, even with me getting the magnesium shots and all of that stuff. And so
mm,
he passed away due to a pocket of air got into his lungs, and that just we had to make the decision um, whether or not to let him go because they said his brain had went too long without oxygen, and so they could not guarantee us that he would have a great quality of life. And so
right.
in that moment as a parent, you have to not think about your feelings. You have to take your child into consideration and just really go to the Lord and say, what is it that I'm supposed to do? And me and my husband had to not be selfish. And we wanted him to stay here, but we also wanted him to have a great quality of life as well. And they could not guarantee that. And so we prayed because my husband is a pastor. We prayed
Mhm.
about it. My husband held him, and we told them we will say our goodbyes while he is alive. And well, not our goodbyes, we will say our see you laters.
See you
Um,
later.
and and they let me change his diaper while he was still alive. They let me give him a bath while he was still alive and they let me hold him because that was the only time I ever got to hold my son was the day that he passed. Um,
Mm,
and so when all of that happened, that really shifted my life. That shifted my how I view God, that shifted my view of the world, that shifted my relationship with God, that shifted my relationship with a lot of people. And it also shifted my purpose because I said, well, what am I to do now? Like it doesn't
yeah.
it seems very trivial now to just be out there trying to help people have businesses, and the business that I was trying to be about is gone now. My main thing was to be a mom, and that's gone.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because this episode is about the weight of pain, and
Mhm.
that was the a painful journey that you had to go through. And I think about the different educators that I interact with on a daily basis. I have one of my admins who was just in a horrible car accident a
Mhm.
week before retirement.
Mhm.
Okay. And now she's in, ICU. I have
Mhm.
two teachers with cancer diagnosis and they're healing and they're trying to get through that journey. I've had a teacher who's lost a child before.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
it's just it's just heavy stuff
Yes.
that
Yes.
people all over this world go through.
Yes.
And people see the outcome, but they don't always see that middle part.
I don't
What
see
did
it. Yeah.
your middle look like? The days when getting up felt heavy, when moving forward didn't feel possible. What was that?
Yeah. And so I definitely feel those sentiments because as an educator, I was a college professor for 15 years and I was still in the classroom when this all happened. And
Mm,
so, um, you know, in the midst of a semester of your students, you're trying to get them prepared, you're trying to get lesson plans done, you're trying to get grades in, and then you yourself, you lose your child, but you still have to deal with students who are sending you
yeah.
emails saying, "Hey, Dr. Mason, can I get this back? can I
Mm,
talk to you or whatever? And in that moment, you're like, you're not on my radar right now. Like this
yeah,
job, this teaching, it is not. And so you try to be fair to the students because you don't want to bring that into the classroom.
yeah,
But that middle point of trying to get through this, it was a very dark place. It was a
yeah,
very dark place. Like I said, I grappled with whether or not I still wanted to even be here.
yeah,
My
bet.
priority was no longer my students. It was no longer my profession. I had to take a leave of absence from my students in the middle of the semester. And, looking back, I really honestly don't know how it was not me that was able to just get up. I literally had to go to God and force myself to get up every single day because I had no purpose anymore. My
Yeah.
purpose was to be a mom. And I probably could have dealt with it even there because I have two other sons. And even though they didn't come home with me from the NICU, they stayed at the hospital, they were still here. This
Hmm.
child went on to glory and I never was going to see him again. So I still didn't have a purpose. I didn't have like to go to the NICU and still be a mom. Here I
Yeah.
am, a childless mother, and I don't know what to do with that. And so that middle part of having him, being in the hospital with him for 12 days in the NICU and then having to be released and go home without your child, and the first time that you hold him is the day that he passed, and then the last time that you see him is him being wheeled out to go, being prepared for his burial. That was a lot. So that middle was very rough. I shut people out.
Hmm.
I shut my husband out. I shut family and friends out. And like I said earlier, I shut God out. And I eventually want to just shut myself out. I didn't even want to be here. And I what really got me out of it was I said, is this how is what I went through, is this what my child would want his mother to be doing? Like he would want, he knows that his mother is strong enough to get through this.
Yeah.
And he came to me in a dream because I kept asking. I said, baby, come to mama, come to mama, come to mama. Let mama just see you. Let mama just know that you're okay. And he came to me in a dream, and me and my husband were laying in the bed one day, and I could smell him, what he smelled like in the hospital. And instantly, Francesca, I was like, I gotta do better.
Yeah.
I gotta do better. I gotta get up. And then in the midst of all of that, trying to recover and heal and get my mental back together, we found out we were pregnant with my second son. And
Wow.
so I said, I gotta stay alive for this baby. I
Yeah.
gotta stay alive for this baby. I gotta stay strong for this baby. And I just kept hearing my son in the back of my back of my head, and was like, Mommy, I got a brother coming. I got a brother coming. You gotta be strong for him. You gotta do right for him. You gotta make sure your blood pressure is okay for him because I'm gonna be a big brother. And I just was like,
Oh,
well, if he can, keep me going like this, then I have got to get it together. So yeah, that's what that middle looked like. It wasn't
yeah.
pretty. It wasn't
All right.
sunshine and all of that. It was dark. It was cloudy. It was rainy. It was mad. It was fiery.
Yeah. It's
And
tough.
then yeah, and then after that storm comes the calm, and came my little rainbow baby.
Yeah, I love that. And I have been, my last child was a NICU baby, and when I tell you it was something we had not prepared for, everything was fine. We had no signs, no anything,
Hmm.
and I delivered, and she had an issue that they would have never even been able to like find out in the ultrasound. It was
Yeah.
only through delivery, and it caused us to have to, she had to go through a few things her first a few months of life, and it was a question mark above whether she would be able to ever walk.
Wow.
And so in the things and the treatments that they had to do, like her first 2 weeks of life, was it 2 weeks or a month? it might have been the whole month. She had cast on her legs as a
Wow.
baby. Okay,
Mhm.
a
A
newborn
newborn.
little
Wow.
pink cast.
Oh.
And when I tell you, I got so depressed, and my middle was just like I was like you. I, because as a mother,
Mm-hmm.
we're like, I have to protect and take care of my
Yes.
child. And
Yes.
when we can't even do that,
Yes.
it tears us up inside.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I got so depressed that my husband ended up having to take off of work because I couldn't handle it. That she was crying all the time because she was in so much pain. I couldn't deal with it. I just sat in the recliner every day, just
Mm-hmm.
holding her. And so my older two kids was like, and they weren't that old at that time. They were probably like 10 and 12. And they were like, only thing you do is sit here on the recliner. We don't go to the park. I mean, we don't get to eat. I can laugh at it
Uh-huh.
now,
Yeah,
but
you can. Yeah.
girl,
Uh-huh.
that middle bout took me out. I'm
Yes. Yes.
depressed.
Yes. 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 I definitely hear you. I mean, I look back that day when they willed him in because our pastor came up, when they, and pronounced that he had passed and he took his last breath. They wheeled him out in a little crib, and our pastor was there and everything. And I look back now, Francesca, and I snapped because my brain would not let me comprehend that he was gone, and I was still talking like he was still here because my husband said you were like, look at the baby, look at our new baby, and you were talking as if he was here, like he was still alive and breathing and everything. And I literally was like, are you for real? He was like, yeah. He was like, you snap, like you. He was like, I never really understood like people who have those little moments of insanity. He said, but you had like a real moment of insanity where you thought he was alive and you were showing him all to people, and you were like,
Yeah.
here's the new baby and we're about to go home and they're
Wow.
gonna relate and all of that. And he said, I don't know what it was. He said it must have been when the funeral home came to get him. You must have snapped back and realized. He said because you instantly went to the floor
Yeah.
and just realized that he's not coming back.
Mm,
He's not coming back. And
yeah.
so yeah, that middle
It's just
is
rough.
something people don't talk about. It's the ugly part, but it's the part that people need to hear because that is the true testimony. That is the true test that you went through that got you to the other side. And that's the
Yeah.
part that lets people know you can be in that dark, that ugly, that whatever, but it's sunshine afterwards. It's sunshine afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you said your other son was one of the reasons you had to snap out of it and
Had to
get
snap out of
back,
it.
right? But what else did you how did you learn to navigate that cycle without losing yourself in addition to getting up and like I got this other child I need to take care of. What else helped you to get out of that middle and out of that cycle that we go through when we're down in this pain?
Mm-hmm. So once I started talking to I went back to my OB, and once I started talking to her and I realized that I was not the only woman who had dealt with this, and there was no, that should not be ashamed of this because I went through that as well, where I didn't even want to post that we had him early because I felt a sense of a shame, that I had a baby early. And that what kind of mother was I to have a baby early? Like something's wrong with me. And she told me, she said, Johnecia, there is nothing wrong with you. She said, there are so many women who live with this shame and they live in this darkness and they don't have anybody to share this with. And that's another thing that caused me to just snap out of it as well, because I was like, well, my goodness, I I can't imagine not telling people about my child,
Mhm.
even though he's not here and he passed. I can't imagine like going into hiding and acting like he never existed. And so that's what propelled me also to
Mhm.
say, this is something that I want to share.
Yeah.
I want to share that yes, I had a baby premature. Yes, he passed away. No, it was not my fault. Yes, I went through that dark, ugly period of not wanting to be here and all of that. Yes, I still struggle with it every single day. But guess what? I'm dealing with it. It is my new normal. I have another child. And I have a third child who that one definitely came out the blue. We'll
Yeah.
get on him later, but he came out the blue. But that also, Francesca, was what propelled me outside of just having my second son, was that somebody needed to hear my story
That's right.
because she said other women, other parents, other whatever have dealt with this and they haven't told their stories. Because when I told my story, it was so many of my friends, and I'm talking about like close friends. I never knew that they had even had a miscarriage, that they had had a stillborn child, or they had even lost a child. And I
Mm.
said, "How are we friends?" And you never talked. They said because I tucked it away, and I
Yeah.
put it aside because the child wasn't here,
Wow.
so it wasn't a need for me to talk about it. And I literally just was like, I can't ever imagine not
Mhm.
ever sharing that I have three children.
Mm.
I can't ever, and so that made me say I have got to get involved. I've always just been a person to be involved in volunteering and being involved in different organizations. And so I said, I got to find some kind of way to be a mom. Like
Yeah.
because he won't be playing football, he won't be playing soccer, so I can't be the PTA soccer football mom. I got to find some kind of way to honor this child, and
Yeah.
that's when I got involved with March of Dimes, and we became the ambassador family for prematurity,
Wow.
and just began to tell my story and no longer uh and let other women know you don't have to be ashamed of this.
Yeah.
You really don't. So yeah,
Purpose
that's
to
what
your
that's
pain.
what else. That's what
Purpose to
also.
your pain. That's
Yep.
what came out of that.
Yep. Yep.
I'm
So
so
yeah,
glad.
that's the book.
Yeah.
Transforming pain into purpose. Yes, yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I'm gonna make sure that book, the link is in the show notes because
Yes.
I'm glad that you talked about all those different points. Because even with me, there was some shame in my journey. And I was like,
Mhm.
why?
Why?
Why do we take ourselves through that? It was so bad for me because I thought people were gonna judge me with her being a brand new baby with
Hmm.
cast on her legs. And I mean, looking at me like, what did y'all do to that baby?
Right.
You
Right.
know, I didn't take her anywhere. I made
Yeah.
her stayed
Yeah.
at the house. I refused to leave the house with her because I just didn't want to deal with that. And I think we've got to get over that.
Yes.
We
Yes.
are our harshest critic
Yes.
most of the time, you
Yes,
know.
yes, yes, yes. And society, so because society puts so much pressure on women, especially if you want to be a mother, or is something wrong with you if you don't want to be a mother, and if you are a mother, your child has to be perfect, and if they're not perfect, then what kind of mother are you?
Right.
And we put so much on women for their decisions and their choices, and and that really helps to just make women be like, well, I'm just not even going to share. Because if
Mhm.
I'm going to get judged about every little tiny detail, I'm just going to be quiet about it. And and I know your podcast also, really talks to educators. And when we hold that pain in, it goes into the classroom with us because we might not talk about the pain and stuff that we have going on at home, but our students feel it.
Yeah.
Our students feel it. Our coworkers feel it. The administration, they feel it because they see that change in you. They see you holding
Yeah.
something in. And I don't work with little ones, but I know some of my friends who are elementary school teachers, they say the little ones pick up on it real
Quickly.
quick when they're
Yeah.
holding
Energy
something in.
matters.
Yep, or when Miss So and so is off. And so yeah, we gotta stop holding stuff
Stop.
in and go get I got a therapist. I went and got a grief counselor, and then I also
Girl.
just got a regular therapist to help me through like just life. Because I just need to deal with my new normal. And
Yep.
even if it's not losing a child, I mean, like you said, a car crash, dealing with a
Yep.
devastating
Yep.
illness, dealing with something happening to one of your family members,
Yep. It's
and
a
you're the
lot.
caretaker, that is a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah. And so this is a good time to kind of, I want to switch the conversation to talk about that self-care piece.
Hmm.
And that this is something I didn't really have when I was going through that time. And I think we're being, more vocal now about self-care. It
Yes.
wasn't like that to me. For me, it wasn't like talked about like that 15 years ago, like it is
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
And then, you know, especially as a Black woman,
Hmm.
it wasn't talked about because it was for us. It's like we got to work, work, work. We got to
Work,
get
work.
everything done. We got to be our best on top of everything. But
Yep.
now we're learning, we got to take a break. We've got to pour into ourselves,
Right.
right? So
Right.
we hear the word self-care all the time, but in real life, especially during the painful moments, I think about my coworker, and I just spoke to her the other day, the one that was in the accident. Her whole life has now been, you know, redefined. It's just, she's got a pivot now here
Hmm.
because of this accident that has really just, you know, damaged her body. And
Right.
so, like, literally 1 week before retirement. And so I'm thinking about once she gets healed and all of that stuff, what is going to be her self-care journey?
Yeah.
So, what does self-care actually look like for you in your hardest moments?
Hmm. So self-care for me, um, it is literally getting away and doing my crafts.
Mm.
Um, I can just go into another zone. I can get creative. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. And so I go in my craft room and I tell my husband all the time, get out of here. I know it looks crazy to you, but it's my organized chaos. I know where everything is. I know where my stuff is. And so when I have those hard moments, and I just need to get back to Johnecia. And even when I have a trigger of losing my son, I go to my craft room because I can just be myself in there. I can just get quiet in there. I can just, work on one of my projects that I've been working on. And like I said, sometimes it's not something I'm making for somebody else. It literally sometimes it's just something I'm just doing for myself. And it only makes sense to me because only the colors make sense to me. Only the lines make sense to me. Only whatever it is, it just makes sense to me. And so that's what self-care looks like. For
Yeah.
me, another thing, and people laugh at this all the time is when the house is quiet, nobody is there, my husband is not there, my boys are not there, I do the laundry. That is the most calming thing
Thing for
to
you.
me. Oh my gosh. It's just something about getting the clothes, sorting them in the washing machine, getting them out, putting them in the dryer, and then folding them up, and that everything is in its place. That just relaxes me and that just calms me.
I
And
love that.
it's so weird to me because I was not like that. I was not that girl. And now that is the most common thing to me, is just to do the laundry and to know that all of that stuff is everything is in its place, to make
Yeah.
sure my boys clothes are hung up, all of that. Yeah, that's self-care to me. And I actually just finished teaching a class to some women at our church, Priscilla Schreier's Breathe curriculum, which she did a couple years ago. And we talked about self-care, and we talked about having your Shabbat moment, which was, taking your time for yourself. And even if it's just, she talks about starting with 14 minutes a day. 14 minutes a day. Try to get 14 minutes in a day that are just dedicated to just you, and then try to spread that out to 30 minutes, and then
Yeah.
try to spread that out to an hour until you get to a full day where it is just about you. You're not, us as moms and us as women, period, we have 1,001 tabs. Like you were talking about earlier, you had all these tabs open on your computer.
Mhm.
Our brains are literally like computers as well. We
Yep.
have all these different tabs open, and we have all these people in our head too, and they got tabs that go with them as well. And um so she talks about taking that time, and you don't have those tabs open, you don't
I
have
love
those
that.
sites open, you don't have those browsers open. You literally are just sitting in yourself, in your peace, in your joy, and doing whatever that is. Because and people think self-care has to be like going to the spa or getting your nails done and all of that. No,
Mhm.
self care is what you want it to look like. And your self care, my self care doesn't look like what Francesca's self care looks like. My self care ain't gonna make sense to Francesca.
Mhm.
Your self care, ladies, is not gonna look like anybody else's, but it's only gonna make sense to you.
To you. And I'm so glad you said that Because we were at a conference today. I think I told you about it earlier. And one of the questions was, what do you do for self-care? And it was just so many different things. But the
Hmm.
one thing that stood out to me, this is hilarious. And one of the girls said bowling. And I was like, bowling? That's loud. And then I was like, that's her self-care. So
That's
if
her,
bowling is her self-care, that is her
that,
self-care. And
that's
I
her
was, yeah.
self-care.
So it looks like you said, it's different from for everyone.
Yeah.
And so as long as you're doing something, and I love that 14 minutes, 30 minutes to whole day thing because you got to make it a habit. And
Yes.
that's what's important for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, if someone is listening right now and
Mm-hmm.
they're in the middle of their storm, and I'm telling you, Dr. Mason, some of the conversations I've had just today, people are in the middle of their storms. Their storms are just, it looks different for everyone, but they're in their storms. They can't see the end of some things. They don't feel strong. They're just trying to make it through the day. What would you say to them?
I would say to them, um, press through,
Hmm.
press through. It is going to be hard. I am not going to sit here as a Christian woman and let you know and say to you that life is easy. You know, with God, you can do everything. Yes, you can, but guess what? Push through because it's going to be hard. Just because you are a believer, or even if you're not a believer, that does not guarantee that everything is going to go right, that everything is going to go your way, because it is not. As Christians, we say, you make a plan and God will laugh. And so I make plans every day and God laughs right on at me and say, girl, okay, keep on. But if
Yep.
you're going through something right now, I want to let you know to press through,
Press through.
press through, because guess what? This is not the first time that you've been through something. This is not the first time that you've been down and out. This is not the first time that it has looked dark. This is not the first time that it has been cloudy. This is not the first time that it has been rainy. This is not the first time that you've been broke. This is not the first time that a bill has not paid. Guess what? You got through it because you stayed there and you pressed through it.
Yeah, I
While
love
you're in the midst, this is a time to get close to whoever it is that you believe in. If you're a Christian, this is who you get. This time your time to get on your knees and pray and to be obedient and to be open to and clarity and ask for that clarity and that good judgment of what it is that I'm supposed to do next. And even if you're not a believer, this is just a time for you just to get clear
clear.
and just sit. Because sometimes we have to go through stuff to just know that it's time for you to sit down and rest a minute
Yep.
and figure stuff out. But guess what? You haven't been here before. This might be a new situation, but
Hmm.
tough times are not new.
Yeah.
Tough times are not new, Franchesca. We have
Yep.
gotten through them.
Yeah.
We have gotten through them. So I will tell somebody, whoever who is going through whatever, press through,
Yeah.
press through, and because you need to stay here, because the next obstacle is right there.
Yeah. It's right there. Right
It's
around.
right there. But guess what? You got pressed through. We all are in three different stages. We're going through something, we're in something, or we're coming out of something.
I love that.
We're in one of those three stages. That is everybody who is on this earth.
Yep.
I'm gonna say it again. We are either about to go through something, we're going through something, or we're coming out of something.
Hmm.
So if you're in that part of I'm going through something, guess what? There's a third part. You're gonna come out of it.
Hmm.
You're gonna come out of it.
Don't come out of it.
Don't come out of it.
Wow, great conversation today for sure. And I hope that people reflect on this and figure out a way to press through, just like you
Press
said.
through. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, life doesn't promise us that we won't face pain, but it does give us something powerful, a choice. And Dr. Mason said it first, press through. The choice to stay stuck or to slowly, day by day, turn that pain into something that means something. You got to honor it. You got to grow through it. You got to use it because, just like Dr. Mason, your pain isn't just your pain,
Right.
it can be someone else's survival guide. And
Yes.
so I thank you, Dr. Mason, for being on here today. What's next for you?
Um, I have a lot of things, but this just came to mind. This is free 99 for your listeners, my friend Francesca. The gift that we all have
Hmm.
because we choose to stay here is just like my book. My book is called Rodney's Gift, Transforming Pain into Purpose. But the gift that we all have is that we get to transform our pain into our purpose the next day. We have
Mm,
another chance to do that. So that's free 99 for you right there.
love it. I love it.
What's next
I,
for me is I am in the midst of developing a children's book series about losing a sibling as well as or having a sibling in heaven as well as having a sibling in the NICU because I have found that there is no literature that talks to children about that or that is available to parents to have that conversation
please write that book.
with their children. And so that's what's next for me. Hopefully more opportunities like this. I'm looking forward to more speaking opportunities and just looking forward to getting to know people and sharing my story and letting people know that you got to press through and we have the gift that we can transform our pain into purpose.
Yeah, I love it. So that's how we're going to end it today. For everyone listening, if you're in a storm right now, just know this: storms don't last forever, but what you become because of them does. I
Yes.
am your host, Franchesca Thompson, and as always, keep thriving.